The Soviet regime was averse to both religion and individualism throughout the 20th century. However, in this communist society, Russian-speaking Jews descended from and born in Russia were many times not considered Russian by other Russians. The classification of Jews as an ethnicity is important for understanding their unique experience and opportunity to immigrate. In the fourth wave of Soviet Jewish immigration in the late 1980s and 90s, almost 1 million refugees immigrated to the United States from the former Soviet republics. This video just begins to reveal how immigration has affected 3 people who made their new lives here in Richmond. Our Richmond community was chosen by HIAS, the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, for resettlement and awarded for outstanding support of these new Americans.
We became an active resettlement site through HIAS, finding someone who knew how to speak Russian, integrating all the volunteers from the community and the synagogues into a very active community. We had a thriving resettlement program. Over the course of the period, we resettled 800 people. My oldest was getting bar mitzvahed at the time, and his bar mitzvah project was filming all the new arrivals. And we actually still stay in touch with some of the people, so it's wonderful that there's an actual project that's going to memorialize it. It's great.
Jewish Family Services and the University of Richmond Hillel have collaborated, along with sponsoring organizations and many volunteers, to document the Richmond resettlement of former Soviet Jews and create an exhibit and film in honor of their quarter century in the United States.
It was so foreign to our concept that because of your religion, you could be discriminated against. We felt like we were giving people opportunities that they wouldn't have had in the former Soviet Union, and a place where being Jewish was something to be proud of, not something to hide. It fit right into what JFS's role is, because JFS is a full-service social service agency. People come with needs. It's our role to help them. And when it came to the new Americans, we helped them with whatever service we had that would help them get established and on their feet. And at that time, we did a fair amount of career counseling.
I actually started working in 1996 at Jewish Family Services. I was the person who was meeting people at the airport from Russia, immigrating from Russia. I was the person who was taking them and bringing them to apartments. I was responsible for furnishing that apartments, and I know them all personally.
There's that whole 3 notifications: you either leave now or you don't leave. Family members help each other out. My uncle was our volunteer through the JFS. We were the last of our family to come in '97.
My first picture, an excitement, you know, being in America, my family and my 3 brothers, they're all there for me. It's kind of was beautiful moment.
The people actually were resettled in 2 communities, Keswick Gardens and Crestview. And lately in the third one was Nottingham Green next to Venice Mall. In that 3 communities, Keswick Gardens was pushed and they're building another stuff over there. The Crestview was completely redone. Now it's like a luxury apartments.
It was a combination of the location. We wanted them to be on a bus line in the county schools, and it was very close to the JCC and also to JFS. And we had a family friendly to the agency and the community who owned them. So it all came together to be a great opportunity for helping them get settled and becoming Richmonders.
Anything. I can tell you, when Jewish Family Services folks brought us to our 3-bedroom apartment, and I saw toothbrush in a bathroom. I almost cried. You know, it was unexpected.
When he saw this refrigerator, he said, "I've never seen a refrigerator like this in my life." And he's okay. He's gonna teach me how to cook.
Similar to these stories, many aspects of daily American life came as a great surprise to the new Americans. Richmond newspapers at the time documented these experiences, such as shopping, a large selection of fruits and vegetables, praying in synagogue, or celebrating bar mitzvahs. Much of the research on this transition points to age as being a huge factor in the rate of integration.
Age is everything. Our old son, he was 12. Our youngest son, he was 3. He is a typical American child who is spoiled. I don't eat this, I don't eat that. I want a pizza. That's it. Pizza, nothing else. I'm thinking, you have to go to Russian army. After Russian army, you will eat everything. So the funny things, when he was 3 years old and he went to JCC kindergarten the very next week, and he came back the first day and he said, I will never go again. We asked him why, and he said, they're all stupid there. And we asked him why they're all stupid, and he said, I talk to them clear Russian language and nobody understands me. In 2 months he was speaking English fluently, and now he graduated college and work in Richmond.
Adopt the culture. You have to adopt. It's like when the baby making first steps, and saying mama first time. That was the same way for me. No communication in my dictionary was my best friend, BFF. I remember when I moved to New York, I never felt like I'm living in the United States. I didn't really communicate in English over there. I felt like I'm in Russia. Didn't like it at all. It took me 3 months to realize, and then I moved back to Richmond.
Language seems to have been one of the greatest barriers to integrating into American society. It has, however, remained a key aspect for Russians to maintain their cultural heritage.
Our native language, which is called Juri, a mixture of Aramaic, Old Hebrew, and Persian. It's a Jewish language. We're drifting away from it. As I've gotten older, I want to identify with it more. I don't want to forget the language. That's why I always yell at my mom, Mom.
Between us, we still talk in Russian. But with a younger son, it's like 75% English, 25% Russian. With the older son, it's opposite. But again, I in my own experience, all this blah 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 about immigration, it all depends on the age.
For older people, it's difficult to communicate in different language. In New York, it's a big Russian Jewish community, and my mom moved there. I think it was an easy, better life for them because the communication and transportation too.
An interesting study of the integration of the post-Soviet community is their calculations when transitioning out of the subsidized housing provided during resettlement.
1995, being 3 years in the country, we bought our first house. The Russians, they have a mentality, they don't like to pay a landlord.
I want to give my kids as much as the full family can give. It was the single parent, and I want to let them feel that we are like everybody else. I've been working like a couple jobs. I found a house, and I was so happy, and I was really proud of myself. So, living not that long in the United States, being a single mom and buy the house.
I was involved in the Russian community because I started selling real estate, and I sold maybe couple hundred houses to Russian clientele. Elderlies, they concentrated in Marywood apartments and Bet Shalom. The main attraction for the Russian family, if you're talking about area of where to live, school. Look, we came here because of the children. We came here, and practically every Jewish family, they thinking only about the future for the children. We moved to Short Pump area because we wanted our son to go to the best and brand new Deep Run High School.
This map has been generated to illustrate the current housing locations of 500 resettled Soviet immigrants. Their proximity to JFS and the JCC is still within Henrico County. The 3 resettlement communities are indicated in purple, and the majority Russian elderly homes are symbolized in green. The 2 Russian delis are designated by red circles. This map represents a slight westward shift, which correlates with Vladimir's explanation of seeking to be located within better school districts and among popular Soviet destinations.
Today, we're all kind of just spread out, and we're Americans and very proud.
I didn't change. I just became more open, more modern. I'm not really strict with my kids, but I'm a little bit old-fashioned because I can't sometimes accept something. Well, I grew up different way.
What is really bothering me, it's our children. And it's not only our children. I see a lot of children, like my children who came here in that age, and we would like to see them more involved. As I said, we knew that we are Jews. We were forced to know. We were forced to know, and it's a good thing. But here, freedom, which is perfect. That's why we came here. But everything has 2 sides of coins. And because of this freedom, maybe not only because of that, but kids, our kids and kids of our friends, I don't think they have that Jewish identity. I just don't see it. And we can't, dictate anything. It's a free country.
Yes, I'm Jewish, but I think living here for such a long time, you tend to forget where you came from and who you are. But when I went to Israel, that very much changed my mindset. You're just Jewish. You kind of just mix in. Here in America, Russian Jewish. I saw my grandma for the first time in 15 years last year when I went on the birthright trip. Ended up staying for a month with my family. That was an eye-opener. I didn't want to leave. I think if I were to go back, it'd be hard to get me to leave the country. I wanted to join the army even while I was there as a lone soldier, as a volunteer. Seeing my family helped strengthen my identity.
We got our Soviet Union red passports, and they did not take it from us. When we came here, we put them somewhere and forget about them. I'm American first and Jewish second. I not Russian. No, I'm not Russian. That country gave me birth and nothing else. Nothing else. I still love that country. It's a good country. It's a good people. Very unfortunate situation over there.
I'm proud who I am because I got multi-culture inside me, growing up with the Muslim people, living in a Russian society, and being Jewish and moving to the United States.
Much of the research that has been conducted on this subject focuses on the popularized Russified community of Brighton Beach in New York. One of the aspects of this resettlement that is still obscure is the formation of a former Soviet community here in Richmond. To what extent does a Soviet enclave exist, and how does this affect a better future for the next generation?
I don't think so. I don't think it's visible other than like very small Russian stores, other than that. It's very small community because for a city like Richmond, to have couple immigrants from Russia, it's not very big impact. And also keep in mind, not only Russian-speaking Jews, there are maybe couple thousand Russian-speaking people. There are Russians, there are Georgians, there are Uzbek, there are a lot of other Baltic people. They all speak Russian, but I don't feel like there are some something which connects the people or newspaper. No, there are no such things in Richmond. Unfortunately, our lifestyle is very busy. It's a normal, it's a regular American lifestyle.
We still the same. It's only one thing, we don't have time together often like we used to do.
Our old son, he's a very successful businessman today. He's in real estate. He was on Wall Street, but at some point he decided to work for himself, and he came to Richmond.
My aunt was held back from doing pre-med, going to medical school because she was Jewish. I get to go to college and become whoever I want to become, study whatever I want to study, and not have anyone tell me, no, you can't. It's a pretty big deal, and I mean, my kids are going to be first generation, and it's living the dream, the American dream.